Aloha.
There it is. Hello, everyone. How are you? Kevin Gallagher here with my good friend Sonny Parlin, two of the old men of the Old Man Grappling Hour. Here again, ready for a little post-Christmas show, New Year's Eve show.
How was your Christmas, Kevin?
My Christmas was pretty good.
Yeah?
Not too bad at all. Actually, honestly, this year was probably the best Christmas I've had in a long, long time.
Really?
Really. I mean,
why?
First of all, I got to hang out on New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve. I went to a football game with my girl, had a good time, relaxed, nice, restful night. First time I hadn't been alone on Christmas Eve in a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
This girl.
The same girl.
All right.
Yeah,
Good for you.
I believe.
Bro, when are you going to pop the question?
We are trying to make things official. I think finally
Really?
she's realizing, wait a minute, I'm actually have some things going on. Jim's doing well. And we took her up to a football game. We were up in club seats. We actually were up in the suites. We had the baller seats, you know. And we had a good time. She went to my Christmas party, had at the gym, introduced her to all my people.
Wow.
She behaved herself, acted accordingly, appropriately. I think I have sufficiently stuck with her for long enough to watch her grow up to a point to where she is ready to take on a role in my life, and I really do like her a lot. I'm
What is
happy.
she, like 17 now?
17. She's finally legal. Wait, we can't.
Wait, no, 18.
We can't make that joke. I can't make that joke.
It's all jokes.
Then Christmas Day, I hung out with just my mom and my brother. I went to my house. I cooked some steaks and some ribs and had a nice day watching
How's
football.
your brother doing?
He is, he's safe.
Good.
Not a whole lot of change. He's mentally ill, and it's hard to deal with, but it is what it is. It's about as good as it's going to get. What about you, Sonny? How was your Christmas?
Dude. Take my glasses for this.
Sounds like a doozy.
You know, I am a Christian,
Yes.
and therefore I like to celebrate the birth of Christ. But I'm not a big fan of Christmas
Right.
because I don't view it. I wish it was always just about that, the birth of Christ and celebrating it. But no, it's not about that. It's about you got to drive here, you got to drive there, you got to buy this, you got to buy that, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I hate the obligations of it. I'd rather just be left alone to not alone alone, but I would just rather not have all these obligations and rules every year.
Right.
I was telling my wife, it's like, why do we feel the need to go see our parents or her parents on Thanksgiving or on Christmas or New Year's or what? Sorry, bad indigestion here. Why can't we just do that on a random day in July? Why do we always have to go on those specific days when everybody else and their mother is also doing it?
I will counter that by saying, because I love playing devil's advocate. It's what I do with you, Sonny. That's what we're here for. Point, counterpoint. First of all, I hate Christmas too. I never really.
I don't hate it.
I have never really had.
I hate what it's become.
I've never really had my own family unit. There's one thing that I'm trying to fix. It's just an odd. Christmas has always been a catastrophe of disasters of me for as far long as I can remember. My family's always been crazy and a pain, and it's always been something. Cops are called. Something went bad for Christmas.
I honestly believe that Christmas is good when you're a young child and when you have young children.
Yeah.
Then
But
it's good. But if you're not in one of those categories,
There's also that dynamic that, yes, you could go any day to go see grandma, but will you really unless there's a reason to go? Christmas, Thanksgiving, those are the reason you go get together with grandma and your cousin you hate and your uncle that's a weirdo. And you all get together and you put your differences aside for the most part. And you get together for one common goal, which is generally Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays, funerals, weddings.
well, that's the other thing. I don't have anybody on my side of the family. It's on my wife's side.
That's me too.
I have a sister who lives out in Nevada,
Yeah.
but I don't really get to see her all that much. But she's really the only member of my family that I have left is my sister and her sons.
Yeah.
I don't really communicate with anybody on my mother's side or my mother.
It's a weird,
or my brother.
I was like that too. It's a
In fact,
weird.
I actually checked to see if my mother was still alive yesterday.
I have my dad's side of the family, which is up in Jersey, and we kind of hang out with them, and that's pretty cool, right? And then we have my mother's side of the family, which lives here in this area, but I've never met any of them. Like my mother was like, no, you did. I was like, nah, Mom, I love you. Like we never had Christmas together with your side of the family. I don't know what happened. I don't know why it broke down. But I'm very, holidays are like, ugh. Literally people say that all the time. To me, Christmas is just another day I wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just doesn't make, I wish it was more. I'm trying to make it more.
Yeah, I would like for it to be more too, but I don't know. It's just, it's something I wrestle with. It's a personal thing. I wrestle with it every year.
It's fun.
The bottom line is I get a little bit depressed and I don't like the holidays.
Yeah, me either. Bah humbug.
Yeah.
The grumpy old man
I'm not trying to be
podcast.
bah humbug, but that's just the way I feel about
Yeah.
it. It's, if I'm being 100% honest, I woke up on Christmas feeling like, ugh, you know?
It's just another day.
I just want it to be over.
I don't even get mad about it anymore. I used to get all depressed and go out and get hammered on Christmas Eve, be that grumpy old drunk. No, it's like, but I will tell you that this year was a nice one. This year,
Good.
I
I'm
kept it
happy
small. New Year's Eve, I hung out with my girl. We were going to go out and have drinks with friends after. We didn't even do that. We sat on the couch and watched Project Runway. Don't judge me. I'm into fashion shows. But we had a good night. It's a fun time. And we celebrated.
I will say it's been good to spend time with my 18-year-old son because he's going away to the Army
He's leaving.
on January 8th. Actually, he's 19 now.
How do you feel about that?
Very happy for him.
But
Very happy for him.
from a father's point of view, are you going to be sad to not have your son around?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Going to miss him incredibly. But
Yeah.
I'm super excited for this new chapter in his life. I think he's going to crush it.
I bet it's weird for you, and this is something that again, one of the things that I can think of but not necessarily relate to because I don't have a child of my own. I bet there's parts of you that were like, I can't wait to get this fucking resource devouring freaking child away from me. But now when they're leaving,
part of that.
yeah, right,
He is resource devouring.
right. But now when it's time, it's like, wow,
Yeah, no.
my child that I watched grow up is going to be gone. I'm not going to be there to talk to him. I'm
But it's
going to
going to be
yell at him.
great to see him like graduate boot camp and go into his MOS and be successful. And because his MOS has to do with fixing helicopter engines,
Yeah.
I know that his life is kind of set. Like he'll have health care through the Army,
Yeah.
through the armed forces. He'll have the ability to get loans if he needs it for school or for homes, and the MOS he chose, which is fixing helicopter engines, will he'll be good to go to any job. Boeing, Pratt & Whitney, Lockheed Martin, you name it. Like he could go work there and do well. So I'm happy for him when it comes to that, but I will miss him.
People that Air Force and the Navy, those are traditionally you get a good job when you get out.
Well, his is
careers.
Army, but
Yeah.
you know, I think he's going to have a real good job.
Yeah.
I really do. He was either going to be fixing helicopter engines. The other thing he wanted to do was fix
Yeah.
drones.
Yeah.
Which I think fixing drones would be cool, but that's not going to really transfer as well into the private sector.
Yeah.
I mean, it will. Of course it will, but just not
It's
as well.
a little bit more of a specified genre.
Right, and he would likely be working for DOD or something like that.
A lot more helicopters and drones out there.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
So
yeah, that was
we go.
my Christmas. A little bit depressing, but overall good. And
You're getting rid of your baby.
I'm just sitting here waiting for this podcast the whole weekend. I'm just waiting for this day.
Oh, Sonny
to
Parlin,
come.
I love you so much, boo boo. You make me so happy. So
I'm sorry, by the way, I sound like shit because my nose is all stuffed up.
we'll fix that in post. Rod,
Yeah, you can fix it in
Jeff,
post.
Jeff will do his job. So we have.
You
we have
wanted to
some
talk
things-
about some
We're
year
gonna
in
do-
review,
we're gonna
right?
Do a little. We're gonna do this. This will officially probably come out the day after New Year's.
Right.
We're recording a week ahead. So what we're probably gonna do is we're gonna spend a little time going over the year in review of
Things that we thought were important.
things that we deemed
Right.
important enough.
Things we deemed worthy.
Yeah, on the drive over here, as
Right.
we were trying to come up with shit to talk about.
Exactly.
But what do you got on there, Sonny? What's number one on the list? What are we gonna talk about first?
Well, the earliest thing do you want me to go in order?
Yeah, what the fuck? Why not?
All right. Well, we got Nicky Rod got promoted to black belt. So that's pretty cool.
So I mean,
he was already a black belt for like the last 5 years.
we can kind of, even though I don't believe that's more of a current thing, but we can definitely talk about.
Well, it's happened this year.
it happened,
so.
yeah, definitely, and it's a big
year in
deal.
review.
It's a big deal. We can definitely talk about Nicky Rod as being this could be possibly his breakout year.
Oh,
The
yeah.
year when he became, he's always been a force of nature. But this is kind of the year where we're like, oh, wow, Nicky Rod could be the man pretty soon. I still believe he has the tools to beat Gordon Ryan. I don't know that it's necessarily a done deal because you can't bet against a champ. It's just, it ain't gonna happen. I mean, that's the reason why he's the king, because he doesn't lose.
Right.
But I think if anybody's gonna do it, we say that before him, Mason Fowler, maybe Marigali down the road, but they're teammates.
Right.
But I mean, Nick Rodriguez is by far the leading man in that, and to see him finally get his black belt after his complete body of work is something special.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember.
Anybody want to question Nicky Rod's black belt?
Yeah.
Any old IBJJF?
Yeah, right.
fucks?
Want to pull out some technicality? Well, but I mean, I think, and again, I'm only saying this for context. What's up, homie? There you go. Good to see you. Yeah, no problem, buddy. Yeah, well, no big deal, man. Let's get to, we're running a business. We're running a business. Go on, enjoy your coffee. No big deal. Kids coming through. Once again, we're live at Chill Coffee, so there is a business going on. Some people don't see the camera. No big deal. But if you're talking about, for context, according to the IBJJF, which is, again, depending on how you speak to, the governing body, because we just don't have one, of what legitimacy is, I think it's 6 years or 7 years to get a black belt. And I know he's been training for 6 years. I remember when he got his blue belt. We were there. You were there that year.
Yeah.
When he got his blue belt on the podium.
Yeah.
J. Rag Blue gave him his blue belt on the podium that year when he
got third.
He won third. That's right.
Third
as a
at
white
the
belt.
East Coast Trials as a white belt.
Only been training for that was when everyone was like, holy shit, who's this kid?
Right. And then he went to the West Coast Trials and won.
He lost to Tex Johnson in the finals, I think, or semis. I think it was.
Of the East Coast?
The East Coast Trials, the year he lost.
Yeah, then he went out to the West Coast and won.
Then he went out to West Coast.
Blue belt.
It's a blue belt, exactly, which he got 6 months earlier. But I mean,
so he got third as a white belt.
Phenom.
And then first as a blue belt.
Came up training in that blue basement with all the Danaher guys. He's one of the original Danaher Death Squad. Jordan Ryan used to call him a show pony. I mean, you can't say it. And, me and Sonny both know Nick Rod. We just had him on the podcast a while ago. Every time I talk to that guy,
he's super nice.
I want to hate him. You know, I want to find it because I'm a hateful person.
He's a sweetheart.
I'm a hateful person. I mean, the kid's got everything. He's a goddamn male model. He's a Wilhelmina model. You know what I mean? He's
You're
fucking
just jealous.
Yeah, of course I'm jealous. Fuck him. But every time I see him, I want to be angry and hate him. But he really is truly the nicest guy. I saw him last at the East Coast Trials.
Yeah, that's the last time I saw him.
He came up to me. Big Nicky Rod, and I'm not saying but he made it a point to come up to me to say,
he remembers us. Like when I saw him, he was like, hey, it's like, hey, dude, and I saw Gary Tonin, and dude, it's just really cool to see all those people.
Yeah.
And,
but Nicky Rod gets his black belt, well deserved, unquestionably. Had a great match on the Fight Pass or Fight Pass Invitational.
That little
Gordon
viral
Ryan.
moment he had with, what was it, Yuri?
Yuri, yeah, dude.
He's like, hey, ref, can I get a stalling call from the bottom? Here he said something like, shut up.
I mean,
He's like, I love you, man.
I think he broke freaking Gordon Ryan's foot with that toe hold and then lost in the first time
overtime?
Gordon Ryan hasn't submitted somebody in a long, long time. So, whatever. Congratulations, Nick Rod, getting your black belt. Very, very big thing to talk about in the near in the review. What do we got next, Sonny? What's
All
next?
right. What we have next
Moving
is me
right
blowing
along.
my nose. Hopefully, Jeff Rod will take
I
this
kind of
out.
want that in there. I think the folks at home want to see you blow your nose. I mean, it is called the Old Man Grappling Hour.
They don't want to see it. They don't want to hear it.
We sneeze. We scratch our balls. We do things that old men do. Old men get stuffy noses. Old men use handkerchiefs and
Anyway,
tissues. Go ahead. What's
This next story, I don't, it's funny to me. It's just funny to me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry ahead of time.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But this is funny to me.
It's not the guy getting banged in the.
No.
Because we can talk about that again. That was amazing.
So, 5 athletes were suspended
this is
from
a
the
good
No-Gi Worlds after drug testing this year, including Wagner Rocha and Cyborg.
Right.
But the funny part is, they're sitting around
That was a good one.
and they see USADA in the place.
That was a good one.
And they're like, boy, you see, You saw it over there. We go this way. We're gonna sneak out the back door.
That was a pretty funny one.
So they sneak out. They take the picture on the podium. The first and second place guys aren't even on the podium. Oh my God.
Wagner at least kind of owned up to it in a roundabout way, if I remember it correctly. But Cyborg made some lame excuse about his flight. Like he didn't want to move his flight.
Yeah.
And the vent took
Sure.
longer. Yeah, whatever, dude. But that was very
you saw
funny.
it followed up with out of competition testing, and both of those guys got banned for 3 years.
Which is not new to this year. So it just kind of goes and you know, whatever. It depends on
again.
who
This
you
is
speak
a
to.
year in review shit here.
It depends on but it depends on who you talk to about whether there should be testing in IBJJF or in jiu-jitsu in general for steroid use.
Well, I was talking to Robbie about that just a little while ago, and he, Robbie's take on
Robbie Donofrio.
Robbie D'Onofrio sitting right over there.
Dini Farina. Robbie, how do you say it? Donofrio? Donofrio. Robbie Donofrio.
Oh, I've been saying it
That's
wrong.
what I said. That's what I said.
So,
Sorry.
but yeah, Robbie was saying that he thinks that the IBJJF is hurting their own brand by doing drug testing because they're going to lose all their competitors. That's an interesting take because I fully believe 100% that if Mo were to institute drug testing at ADCC, 90%
we'd lose half of them.
of all the competitors would be gone.
I was just listening to a really good podcast of Bo Nichols on Joe Rogan. He was a guest on Joe Rogan, and that topic came up. And Bo made a very interesting commentary on that. He also kind of went both ways on it, just to kind of say it. But he flat out talked about the fact that he's never used any kind of anabolic steroids, and the main reason is because he is a collegiate athlete, and he has been mingled in that collegiate athletic program for years, and you just can't do it in a collegiate level athlete because they test you all the time.
Right.
And it's just not something that you can talk. It's actually in those worlds, in those elite athletic worlds of NCAA, it's frowned upon. Like there's actually people that'll say like, "Oh, you use steroids," like that's like the athletes don't agree with it.
Yeah.
He made another interesting point. This is something that.
But just to kind of play devil's advocate with myself here, a lot of guys take TRT. I take TRT.
I take it for a long time too. I'm not saying anything wrong with it at all.
I don't do it to get a competitive edge. I do it because I'm 50 fucking years old.
Yeah, because you're 50 years old.
I do it because I'm 50 years old and I want to be able to.
A 25-year-old kid doesn't need to be doing.
Right.
A 25-year-old kid doesn't need to be doing.
Correct.
Freaking testosterone. And that's
like,
it.
I'm doing it just so I can recover and
Right.
be able to go back and teach the next day and maybe get some training in
Right.
without having to feel like I've died every single
Right.
time. So, and I don't compete. So I think it's perfectly fine to take TRT, and I think it's very common. In
I don't
fact,
see it-
I
I
think
take
if somebody were to
peptides.
measure my levels, probably wouldn't even notice.
Right.
Right? Because I'm just like, oh, well, that's normal for a guy your height and weight.
Yeah.
Maybe not age, but,
Right.
But there's also guys I've met who are older, who have incredibly high testosterone levels, and they don't take anything.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
it's weird. I have a guy in my gym. His name is John Turner.
Yeah.
And his test levels are pretty high, and he's 40, and he doesn't take anything.
They had
It's crazy. It's like
there
1,000
was
for him.
There was one last thing from Bo Nichols that I wanted to add because I thought
Sorry.
this was a really good. It was a really good. Okay, be careful, buddy. Watch the wires. All right, you're good, buddy. Go ahead. Thank you. All right, well, there again, one more of our young clients coming through to say hi at the coffee shop.
Maybe now's a good time to announce something.
Yeah. Well, one second. So, Bo Nichols made a very good commentary on the use of steroids in athletics and collegiate athletics and competition in general, and it echoed the same thing that I heard from Dan Gable when we had a conversation with Dan Gable. Again, Dan Gable, legendary wrestler. I got to hang out with him one night at an Iowa fundraiser thing that I got to go to. He talked about what he thinks about when he finds out people are using testosterone or using steroids. A person that's using steroids has a hidden fear inside of them that they are not good enough without that extra boost. And Bo Nichols and Dan Gables both said, I can use that to my advantage, because if they have to rely on testosterone, if they have to rely on all these extra supplementations, most of the time, and I'm not saying all the time because they're all guys who do both, they are not doing the work that I'm doing. They are not taking everything to the same level that I'm doing. They're not getting their sleep schedule. They're not living the lifestyle the same way that I'm living.
Right.
And they use this to compensate for that.
Yeah.
Therefore, I can expose that weakness.
Sure.
And I don't say it's right. I don't say it's wrong, because he did go on to say that he thinks that there should be a world where guys are allowed to use these things on a responsible level. But what's responsible? How do you really make sure that stuff is safe or used safely? I don't know. It's difficult.
Well, and I think there's a big difference between dudes that are taking TRT and dudes that are stacking TRT and Anavar and D-ball,
all that shit.
HGH,
Right.
HCG, all of that shit.
Right.
Like, dudes can stack.
Right.
And they can get real big, real strong.
And do damage to their bodies.
Right.
Especially young kids. I gotta, this another just quick one. There's a kid I know, I won't mention his name, but that works with our personal trainer, Charlie Keenan, my physical therapist, who we're going to have on next show. Is going to be our first.
This isn't the same guy, Charlie, that I know.
No, not different. I might have him on just so you can have some fun with him. But Charlie Keenan is a physical therapist I work with. We're going to have him on. Our first interview is going to be next week. I'm going to have him on. There's a kid that we both work with that was on HGH, on some issues with HGH. They took him off the HGH, and now his body kind of deteriorated away. And we're talking about a 15-year-old kid that was taking HGH, which is kind of common. Doctors prescribe that stuff. But, like, now this
what,
kid...
though?
He injured his knee and some other things that were involved to make it. But you take this kid that's a child, you put him on this HCG, now you take him off it, now his body isn't producing. And psychologically, he's not used to being this weaker version of himself. And it's hard to overcome. I don't know.
So just so everyone knows, like, HGH is human growth hormone. HCG
helps to produce.
Did
I say HCG or HGH?
I don't know.
I think you said
HCG.
Growth hormone.
But it helps. The HCG helps you to produce more of your natural T.
I take the HCG, but
do you?
Yeah, I do. I take HCG, BPC 157, and
these peptides,
and CJC 1295,
54,
which are all available at Leheel. By the way, Leheel Biogenics. We'll talk to you later. What's next? Moving right along. That was a very funny, very, very funny incident, though.
I just thought it was funny that they ran away.
We didn't do it justice, but it was really funny as shit.
You have something on here, charity seminar for Will Thomas.
Let's get to that last. I'm going to talk about that last.
Okay, I'm going to move that.
Sorry, I thought I moved it down.
Just going to move it down here. All right. So, UFC Invitational.
Yeah. So,
I don't know what that is, but you wrote it.
So again, I really think that this year in particular, post the amazing ADCC finals that we had 2 years ago, this year in particular was the year that professional jiu-jitsu has become a brand, has become, holy shit, professional jiu-jitsu is a real thing now. And I think a lot of that is due to the UFC paying attention. The UFC recognizing that there is a marketable sport that is jiu-jitsu. We grapple, we disagree back and forth the level of that professional sport to take off to. But when the UFC is holding events and they're advertising them on actual UFC fight nights to get people to tune in,
right,
it means that we are moving right along. And to have the UFC come out with the Fight Pass Invitationals was a big thing that happened in this year. And I think this year it really started to take hold. Sure. It really started to solidify the genre.
I mean, if you're a fan of sport jiu-jitsu and you want to see it succeed, it's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, is it perfect? Not really.
What is?
We've had the last two shows ago, we talked about freaking ADCC rules and like, what the fuck? Let's just do ADCC rules.
Bro, you're talking to someone who's still mad that the UFC took away, I'm still mad that the UFC, like, you're not allowed to wear the gi. They have rounds now. They have weight classes. I'm still mad about all that.
Yeah, I want to see
every single step that the UFC has taken. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You want to play devil's advocate? Now's your time.
Let's do it.
All right, here it is. Every single rule that the UFC has instituted since their inception has been a rule that will benefit strikers and will absolutely not benefit a grappler. It's like a grappler needs to take his time when he's grappling in order to set something up properly. Sometimes it could take 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 minutes, but that's what you have to do.
That's very true.
And the UFC was like, no, we're going to do, so as soon as the action gets going, something starts to happen.
They stand back up again. Or the round is over.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen guys lose fights because they weren't allowed to continue with the idea that they had started with when they were on the ground.
Well,
they just got stood up, and now they have to reset.
There's a reason for that, and that's why I always say that there's 3 types of...
Oh, no, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but don't try to tell me that the UFC is like the perfect display of what fighting is, because it's not.
There's 3 types of jiu-jitsu training, and I say this all the time when I coach my guys. There's sport jiu-jitsu, which they're all in one and the same, but this philosophy-wise,
right?
There's sport jiu-jitsu, there's MMA jiu-jitsu, and then there's self-defense martial art jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And all 3 of them have very different components and very different strategical aspects in order to win that fight. And unfortunately, when you're talking about MMA, like, you gotta sell tickets. You gotta put asses in seats. And as much as I would love to see Hoist and Dan Severn have another 30-minute match with Dan Severn trapped in Hoist's guard, getting pummeled in the face in the corner while Helio screaming in his face, and then, at the end of the the 35th minute, Hoist finished in an armbar on big ass Dan Severn.
Was that triangle or an armbar?
I think it was an armbar. It was a triangle. That was a triangle. But it just doesn't sell tickets. It's not the world we live in now. We have to create something that is a spectator-friendly sport.
That's why the UFC lost me as a fan. Now, does the UFC give a shit about me? No, but I would hope that there's other people like me who saw this progression of the UFC. Bye, Terry.
Bye, Terry.
Who saw the progression of the UFC and didn't like the progression. I'm one of those people. I did not like the progression. I do not like the progression because I think that they have gone from...
See, Robbie.
Robbie? They have gone from what was a legitimate combat, basically 2 men enter, 1 man leave, Mad Max shit. They took that, and now it's completely watered the fuck down. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that I could go in there and beat anybody, because I'm not. I'm just saying they have watered it the fuck down. It is a sport now. It is not a fight anymore. Just like boxing is a sport and not a fight. You know what I mean?
But
it's the closest thing we have to a fight, but it's nowhere near a fight.
I agree with you. To say I hate MMA is a stretch. First of all, quickly,
I do.
I love you and I care about you. I don't care what the UFC says, Sonny. I just want to make sure we say that out loud.
I love you too,
out
Kevin.
loud. I still believe there's a place for MMA. I still believe the UFC has done the best they can do, and they've created a product that is pretty close. I mean, and FYI, I don't think I would fight with 99% of the UFC fighters
that's what I'm
in a
trying to
street
say.
fight if I had to. But you're absolutely right when we talk.
No, 100%. I'm not trying to say that I'm Billy Badass and I could go in there and win and beat anybody. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that what was actual combat is turned into what I consider to be a pretty lame sport, I think.
Yeah.
Again, I think I'm in the minority. I'm pretty obviously in the minority on that. But I don't like the UFC. I don't watch it. I don't give a fuck about MMA anymore. I don't coach it anymore because that's a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
Dude, talk about a wasted night, right? Talk about a wasted few months.
Yeah. It's funny that
but I still love jiu-jitsu.
As much as I know about fighting, and I'm talking about I have been involved in professional fighting for so goddamn long as a boxer before I started training jiu-jitsu, and then in MMA. As much as I've been around fighters and watched fighters that almost get there, then something happens and they say fuck it. It's such a horrible, horrible racket as a coach, and gut-wrenching and heartbreaking as a coach. There's still a part of me that wants to fucking do it anyway because I love it.
What?
Put a fighter in the UFC.
Oh.
Get a guy ready. Go through the whole bullshit of bringing them up from amateur through the pros, win their 5, 6, 8 pro fights in a row to get them a UFC shot. Just because I really believe I can do that. It's just, it's an
incredible amount of work.
It's incredible work, and it's so unfulfilling. It's so incredibly hard to do.
Right. And that's part of the reason why I don't want to do it is because here's the reality of the situation. I can get a guy to the pro level, but after that I can't. I'm not I'm going to be a hindrance more than a help.
Yeah, but I think, but
You got to put them with somebody like Arroyo.
Yeah, but I think you
know?
have. I think you have the tools to put a team together to be able to be a part of that. But
I don't know. For sure I can be a part of it, but I just don't. It's like I've done this before, you know.
I know.
I tried to do this with Kyle.
I remember that guy.
And Kyle had the best shot out of anybody in my gym.
Yeah, he was a stud wrestler.
To
Was a
get
4-time
into the
state
UFC.
champion, 3-time state champion.
I don't know. He's a wrestler for Notre Dame. And
Yeah, he was a tough
he
kid.
won Fargo's and
Yeah,
all
he's a
that
tough
shit.
kid,
He
yeah.
did some big shit. But the bottom line is that it's just a shit show.
It is a shit show.
Weigh-ins and weight cuts and
For those of you that don't know, there are not many things in the world I detest more than having to go to an amateur MMA event. Like, it is literally, I hate you. I don't want to be nasty. I hope I don't get hate mail from this. It's literally a compilation of people that I would never spend my snooty ass would never spend any time with any of these people at all if it wasn't happening, if I didn't have to go to an MMA event. They're always in horrible venues, and I know you guys do the best you can.
And there's
but
always a
it's
fight that breaks out.
and there's always a fight
and
that
I'm
breaks
sorry,
out.
Like,
It's
all these
always a
people
bunch
are like
of crazy
trying to look
hillbillies.
and see what's going on. You want to know what I'm doing when a fight breaks out?
I'm out the door.
I'm sitting in the corner rolling my fucking eyes. Like,
Fuck
this again?
What the fuck, dude? Come on, act like grown-ups.
Yeah,
but
it's impossible. And now,
that's the element of the
and
tracks.
that part of it is spilling over into jiu-jitsu.
Oh, it is.
Because you're starting to see this shit more and more. I can't tell you. I've seen, what's his name? Hector Lombard come to blows at a grappling tournament. And,
Yeah.
like, some of these guys, it's just like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
It's an unsavory element of life that I can't stand, but it's part of what you have to do if you want to get to the top.
I just don't want to be around these low rent motherfuckers. I just don't.
It's a long way to the
Sorry.
top if you want to rock and roll, Sonny Parlin. ACDC. Let's do it. All right, wrong one. All right, Sonny, what's next? What do we got next?
Yeah. So next on the list. Oh boy, this is going to be a fun
This
one.
is a good one. Yeah, I'm excited about this one.
So in our year in review here, we have to talk about
This was a big one. We almost forgot
something
about
that happened that really upset a lot of jiu-jitsu practitioners, including myself. Was fucking Henner Gracie becoming an expert witness, where I'm sorry, but Henner Gracie has no business being an expert witness for something like that. Just because he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, what the fuck has he done? I mean, honestly, don't you want like a high-level competitor or coach
I
to
know.
get to weigh their opinion
first
on
of
it?
all, he's
Bro, what has he done?
He's got
Come on,
Ortega.
what's he done?
He's got Ortega in the UFC. He's involved in camps, and there are people at the top that interact with
Bro,
Henner Gracie.
if Henner
that sing his
Gracie went and did
praises.
the ADCC trials, he would be taken out on day one.
But
Day one.
okay, but again, also when we talk
Sorry.
we talk about the legit. We just talked about what jiu-jitsu is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be ADCC. It's supposed to be a fight, and people will say, they come straight from that lineage, which
Yeah,
is
but
the
here's the thing,
self-defense
though.
lineage.
If you're gonna opine, especially in a court of law, on the intricacies of moves that are happening, which, by the way, everybody and their mother looked at that and
yeah.
saw it was an accident.
It was an accident.
And Henner is trying to say that it
was an accident.
Either, well, it was negligence.
So for those of you who don't remember, just so we can recap it a little bit, there was an incident that happened probably over a year. I mean, it was close to the beginning of the year. It was a while
it was
back.
this year.
Where Henner Gracie, or there's video footage, and I know someone who knew that guy, by the way. There was an instructor that owned a gym that was on one of his opponent's backs, one of his students' back, his white belt student, but by the way, was actually a blue belt, was actually a Pan American champion at a different weight class. It was a collegiate wrestler. So just for context.
Wait,
the guy who got injured.
was a blue belt world champion?
Blue belt world champion or Pan American champion,
Okay.
I think it was. That was actually a collegiate wrestler. So
Okay.
it wasn't like he was some like rando
Right.
from outside on the street, some helpless little fawn. He was doing he was in turtle guard. The black belt had him in that little thing from the back where you roll over his shoulders. I just saw it the other day. It's day one jiu-jitsu, but Rob Kahn used to teach it all the
Right.
time. And when he rolled, the guy on the bottom zigged when he should have zagged.
Right.
And he ended up landing on his head, completely freak accident, and was paralyzed from
But he's
neck down.
Isn't he better now? Isn't he?
I think better. But
Yeah, I don't
he's
know how-
still he ain't
Yeah,
great.
right.
He ain't great. He's still kind of getting around, but he ain't the same what he used to.
But I think the big difference between what that guy did and what Rob teaches Is that guy did it with double underhooks?
Yeah, it was a weird situation. But again,
But it wasn't negligence. It's a grappling match.
We're not.
It's a grappling match and shit happens.
This isn't a knitting class. I hate to say it. Shit happens. If he was skateboarding and fell and broke his neck, no one would say anything about it. There's lots of people that are day one that go on a skateboard and fall down and break their neck. You signed a waiver. You know what you're getting yourself into.
Part of me, I can't help this. The skeptic part of me believes that one of the reasons why Henner did what he did is because they're still trying to create this brand.
100%.
Where Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is this thing over here. And what all you guys are doing is something different over there.
100%.
And it's played out. It's bullshit. Okay? It's bullshit.
Henner Gracie,
so tired of it. Tired of his face.
I will never knock his hustle because he's a hustler.
Oh, he's a hustler.
I've read his book, The 32 Principles. It's really goddamn good. It's pretty good. I would recommend it to anybody to read when you think about the actual foundations of what jiu-jitsu are.
And how about those backpacks?
Any kind of backpacks. The other one where you tie your neck to the plane chair. He's out there, he's doing good things, and he comes directly from the source, which is the Gracie family.
Sure, and I'm glad what they do with the cops too.
Don't ever get it twisted. That fucking guy does not have an altruistic bone in his fucking body. Everything he does is designed to boost himself and
Correct.
to boost the Gracie brand and to make sure that he has a stronghold on the entirety of
100%.
what we're doing. And I don't care.
One of the things that I try to do, and boy, I hope I don't upset anybody with this because I could think of one guy around here that might get upset.
I kind of hope you do.
But it's like when people ask me if we're affiliated with the Gracie Academy, it's like fucking no, no.
Well, even the guys that even Hoist is like fucking no.
Right.
Like, Hoist is like he don't want nothing to do with that fucking horse shit.
I mean, that's why I'm saying I don't want to piss off anybody because
I'm not gonna lie. I actually looked into getting acknowledged as a official Gracie combative coach. I actually looked into it. I thought about it. And if it wasn't going to be freaking completely ridiculous, I wasn't going to do it. Turns out it is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
They did some
They
kind
want
of
a piece of your business from now until all eternity.
a year
It's
or two
whole fucking
ago.
thing.
Year or two ago, they had slated some police-only seminar,
Right.
in like Orlando. So I messaged them about attending. You know, I told them I'm a black belt. I run a gym. We're under the Hoist Gracie lineage, and they were like, "You can't come unless you become
an
a
instructor."
Gracie
Yeah.
affiliate or something like that, and then you still have to pay."
Again,
It's like, dude, get fucked.
everything with them. And I run a business now. I will not knock your hustle, Henner Gracie, but everything they do is a marketing venture.
Yeah.
Every single thing they do is a way to funnel everything back to the business. And you guys making a shit ton of money.
And by the way,
ain't
I
mad
don't
at
know
him,
what
but
it is, but Hit-On doesn't bother me at all. I look at Hit-On and I'm like, I like Hit-On. But Henner, he bugs the shit
You know
out
what's
of
really
me.
funny? This is up until recently, like literally, I would say probably 2-3 years ago, I thought Henner and Huron were the same person.
Are you serious?
I literally only thought there was two. I thought there was two brothers. I thought there was Halleck and Henner, and that was it. And then I didn't realize that Huron.
I don't think Halleck is the brother. Of
No,
this guy.
Halleck's the brother. There's three brothers. Isn't Halleck a brother?
I think Halleck
the guy
is a
that
cousin or
freaking
something.
G and a Gee.
Yeah.
I think he's a brother. I think he's their brother.
I don't know about that one.
Maybe not. Who
I don't
fucking
think
knows?
so.
Whatever. Who gives a shit?
Who knows,
Who
dude?
gives a
There's-
fuck? There's so many
The
goddamn, so many
family is so
fuckers out there.
big at this point. You know?
All right. Moving right along. What do we got next?
Anyway, yeah, that was something that happened that we thought was lame.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
You have Mika Galval Grappler on the Rise 2023.
So I put that on there just because I was thinking about a couple different people that I thought would be grapplers to as of note, as this person is really becoming isolating themselves or solidifying themselves as like, holy shit, this is the next big thing. Dante Leone was another one I thought of too, just because Dante Leone is on a freaking absolute tear. I think he's gonna win. I think he's gonna win the ADCC.
All
this
of
year.
these guys that LeDuc, by the way, shout out to Josh LeDuc. All these guys that Josh LeDuc had in these early Sapatero
Yeah,
tournaments,
they're all
become
yeah.
world champions.
We've had Leone on our podcast before. Dante
Yeah.
Leone was on our podcast before, but I can't think of anybody else that's been, next to Gordon. Not quite the same size as Gordon, but like on a tear as much as Mika Galvao. Like that kid, head and shoulders above everybody else, has just murdered the competition. And he's unfortunately was one of the ones that was caught up in the steroid.
Who?
He was one of the 5.
Mika?
Yeah, Mika. He was one of the 5 that got busted. He got popped in that. He would have been the youngest ever IBJJF world champion. He got it stripped away because of all the steroid
How
stuff.
old is he?
Is he 21 yet? I don't think he's 21 yet. I think he's only 17. I think he's a fucking baby. I don't know exactly how old. You can Google that. But, like, he is... I don't think he's lost a match on any of
20.
He's 20, yeah. I don't think
He's
he's
20 and he's taking PEDs?
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on.
Well, I know
Come
all the
on.
people. It's funny that, it's suspiciously enough involved in the fight sports realm. Didn't need it. Still doesn't need it.
Right.
But I want to just take a second. Hats off. Boop, to Mr. Mika Galvao and his dad. I forget his damn dad's name, but like that's cool. He's got Baby Shark that trains for him. Like,
Is that Andre?
no, it's not on. It's something Galvao, but it's not something Galvao. You like that? Fucking retard. Jeff Rod will do some research for us to put it up there. But that team, he is. A lot of people call him the Brazilian Danaher. Like he is one of the most gifted coaches in the game. So just a little acknowledgement to how I consider to be this year's standout grappler.
Cool.
It's Mika Galvao, unquestionably. They're big things for that kid in the future. And I remember him when he was a kid. Big things coming from that kid. So,
Well, yeah, I would definitely like to see some of these guys kind of pay it forward back to Josh, Like, think about some of the names that LeDuc has had in.
yeah. Before Craig
Basically,
Jones.
Yeah, Craig Jones. Gordon.
Gary.
Like everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
There was a time that a lot of you guys might not remember because you weren't around in these dark ages like me and Sonny were when we were going to fucking gymnasiums for professional grappling events.
But it's like LeDuc was promoting these guys when they were nobodies. It would be nice to see those guys kind of promote LeDuc in some way.
I think
It would just be nice because
we're definitely going to have him on the show pretty soon.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's definitely on the list.
But it would
of
just be
guests.
nice to see it come from one of the guys that he helped.
Yeah,
along the way.
I think the people that know.
Yeah, no,
I think that
for
people,
sure.
he's Josh to all his greatness. He does have a bit of a caustic personality that sometimes clashes with some of these powers that be. But I mean,
I don't
again,
understand what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck the IBJJF.
Yeah, flow grappling, all these other,
Yeah, but everybody hates flow grappling.
Yeah, I know, but unfortunately, we live in a world where from nothing became something, and right now the people that are holding on to the top are kind of their own little good old boys crew, and they don't acknowledge people that helped them get there.
I think that flow is going to have some competition.
I think they are too. That new what's the new thing that LeDuc is using for this new tournament next year? I forget what the hell he calls it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I forget what it's called.
I don't know
too.
what it's called either.
But yeah, but
That's us being willfully
yeah,
unprepared.
willfully unprepared. Exactly. We ain't got time to look for it right now. But there's some competition coming to flow grappling, and I think that eventually the UFC is going to put him out of business. I think once Gordon Ryan leaves and he goes straight to the UFC Fight Pass, like I think the UFC Invitationals are going to destroy everything that flow grappling ever done. And like I don't hate flow grappling, but like fuck those guys, dude.
So, Robbie said something earlier, and then you said the opposite. So I kind of want to talk about that.
All right.
Robbie thinks that the IBJJF is basically making themselves irrelevant to the point that nobody's going to give a shit about their tournament anymore. Now, the IBJJF just did some cool stuff. They just launched some new products. I think they have a new gi tournament. I forget what it's called. Let me see if I can.
Well, the
find
Grand Prix.
No, it's
I mean, they're always doing gi stuff.
new gi
But
tournament.
so to kind of talk about that, like first of all, the IBJJF is still the biggest event in the world. Like I will tell you that the Masters World.
I don't know that it is. Do they beat ADCC?
In stature? They still put on.
That's the part.
But-
if anything, that's the part that I think that they're not.
Yeah, but in numbers, the IBJJF is still doing bigger numbers than the ADCC is, and you can debate that all you want. They are still pulling more people in their events. However, the ADCC is coming up. The ADCC hasn't gotten to that point yet. I believe they will. They're not putting on as many events as the IBJJF is internationally. Like every month there's an IBJJF event somewhere internationally and regionally. Probably every week, to be honest with you. They fucking do tournaments all the goddamn time. With the inclusion of leg locks and heel hooks into the no-gi, brown belt and above, there's still some people that go out now. I think, if anything, more people are wanting to take these IBJJF matches. And, like, say whatever you want. Like, I am still on the fence about being okay or not okay with PED use in a professional athletic realm. I believe there is a certain code of ethics and a certain code of conduct that is often underutilized and underappreciated and just blankly turned away from by these young fighters that are blatantly on PEDs without giving a shit. That takes a little bit of character away from what we're doing here. And that's just me being old school and believing in things still.
The things that
kudos to the IBJJF for at least trying to do something to fix that.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. But the things that the IBJJF does that upset me personally, things like how they try to be the arbiter, like you were talking about earlier, putting up their rules for when you could be a black belt, when you could be a blue belt, how long, what's the minimum, their minimum times and all that. It's like, dude, fuck you and your minimum times.
But
Gordon Ryan is a perfect example. They wouldn't let Gordon. Do you remember this? They wouldn't let Gordon compete at black belt because he hadn't been he got his black belt too soon. They said.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, he fucking went in there and wrecked everybody.
I will say this again, and we're talking about the early days, right? When we talk about Carlos Gracie Jr., and again, there is very little altruistic motive behind this. He wanted to create a monopoly that he could control,
right?
But from chaos, there became something. Like before the IBJJF, we're talking about nothing world. We're talking about even less than what we have now. He created a structure that had events in every city around the country to start to build the appeal to have jiu-jitsu tournaments that were actually people that came to, and he created a criteria. And we're talking about like decades of crazy Brazilians arguing with one another.
Right.
So,
but to
right or
counter
wrong,
that,
at least he's got something.
To counter that, though, Henry Ford was the first guy to create the car. So people were riding horses, and now they're riding cars. It's crazy that happened. But who's going to ride one of those old cars now?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Nobody's out there looking for one of those cars to drive down the highway.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm definitely saying it's outdated. And I'm definitely saying they need to make changes. And unfortunately, the powers that be, and this is the big problem with the IBJJF, is that there is this collection of demagogues, because I've talked to Drysdale about this before. There is this collection of old Brazilian coral belts that are old and droopy in their faces, and they sit around a table when they're trying to make changes, and they're like, this is not how we do it, because this is how it's supposed to be done, and everything else is not cool because this is the way we deem it to be correct. They need some young blood, and they kind of did that with the leg lock stuff. They could maybe back off a little bit on their clarifications and their recommendations. Like, I got my black belt certification through the IBJJF just because I've been a black belt for 6 years and I want to do it. So when my guys go compete, I don't have to find some asshole to sign off on the card. I want to be able to do it. And it was a pain in the fucking ass.
Yeah, what did you have to do?
Oh my God, Jesus Christ! It cost me about $1,200 to do. To do like a CPR certification, you got to do the rules certification. You got to do some safe serve, safe environment certification. Then you got to do. It was a pain in the ass. You have to be a black belt as someone that's registered as a black belt for 6 years. So luckily, me and you competed in Nogi Worlds in 2018.
Actually, it was 2017.
2017. So I am acknowledged as a black belt. I got
real close to say that.
I'm acknowledged as a black belt under their organization for 6 years. If not, I would have had to wait 6 years to do it.
Now, here's a question. I got that cert with you.
Right.
I got my black belt card or whatever. But then I let it lapse because I didn't give a fuck. I
Yeah.
did the one competition. Does that mean I have to do all of that over again, or
No, you'll be cool because you're in your eyes. You have competed for 6 years.
Not
but
that I'm going to do it,
Yeah, I
'cause
know
I don't
you
give
were
a
never
shit.
gonna fucking do
I'm
it.
just curious.
But you got to pay for all the shit again. And
Right.
it's just the point. The big point is like it's hard for me not to think about this, knowing what I know about the Gracies and knowing what I know about the Brazilians that kind of are the gate holders, to think to myself that they are not doing this to make it difficult for the gringos to be a part of their fucking cool kid party. And that's
that's the other thing I don't like about the
that.
IBJJF. There was somebody made a meme, like a video meme, and it was really funny, but it's true. It's like the guy came out and introduced himself to the ref, and his name was, he was an American. He had an American name, and the ref was like,
Yeah,
he was like this or something like that.
It was a reel or something.
Or the guy,
Instagram,
and then
yeah.
he comes out and says his Brazilian. He says his name more like a Brazilian one, and the guy gives him an advantage right away.
Right, then he says Julio Jalezon,
Yeah, then he
Susan. He
gets
gets 4 points. Right, yeah, it's a pretty.
But bro, the reason why that's a meme
Is because it's true.
it's fucking true.
I will not go that far.
Like it
but
hasn't been that blatant, because obviously
but
that's pretty
it's
blatant.
definitely
But dude,
definitely a decent undertone.
like, how many guys do you know who are American that went up against a Brazilian at the IBJJF to a draw, basically, no points, or maybe it was a tie or whatever, and the Brazilian gets the hand raised
Right here.
Yeah, right here too.
Right.
fucking
It's-
here. Dude, fuck that. It's just bullshit.
They are decent referees. I don't want to say it's that biased, but it's definitely
It's fucking biased.
I think the big picture of the structure of it is biased towards their original founding fathers, which guess what, are all Brazilian, and they want you to train at their Brazilian schools, because if you're not training in Brazil, you're not doing real jiu-jitsu, and so on and so forth.
Right.
And thank God for the ADCC for allowing something else to take control of that, so we don't have to think about
Thank
that
God,
shit no more.
honestly.
And
Thank
last
God
on
for
the
Mo.
list. Last on the list is we can kind of parlay that.
Oh
to
yeah,
hit
the
our sponsors
ADCC
up.
going into the stratosphere.
This year will be the year, remember, for the year that the ADCC became the gold standard.
Yeah.
I still don't think the IBBJF is going anywhere. There's still going to be gi
No, but I
tournaments.
think after 2024,
the IBBJF is going to.
I think the ADCC will be the
ADCC.
clear
Yeah.
most prestigious
Yeah, it's getting there.
tournament.
It's getting there. They've still got some work to do. This is their first year. You know, their tournament in Orlando was a fucking disaster. They need to put more events together. They need to figure out how to iron the bugs out, which I totally believe they will. They've got a great crew with Sean Fowler, Seth Daniels, Mo Jassim running it. I think that based upon what we saw this year and based upon, holy shit, the ADCC finals sold out the fucking Staples Center.
It's crazy.
In like fucking an hour. Like I was right there sitting next to my computer to get 5 seats together, 10 seats, as many seats as I could. And every time I would click on it, before I could click on it, it was already sold out. Luckily, we got 5 seats.
Wow.
But it is absolutely amazing. Mo Jassim, you have done an amazing job. Thank you so much. I love you. As an American that trains jiu-jitsu, you've given us something that we can
Yes.
call our own. And thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
the way you run a tournament.
That's the way you fucking run a tournament.
Okay, and we have last on here, we have
One more thing.
charity seminar for Will Thomas.
One more thing.
Who is Will Thomas?
So, Will Thomas is one of my purple belts.
Okay.
Who is also a firefighter. His sister was the victim of a horrible tragedy. Her husband was mentally ill. It was a murder-suicide. They have 4 children.
His sisters.
Will Thomas, the firefighter, his sister was murdered by her husband in a
my
murder-suicide.
God.
And the husband killed himself shortly after. 4 kids. Yeah. They were all in the room. I'm sure Jeff Rod will put a picture up. First of all, we have a GoFundMe for that. If you're interested in doing a GoFundMe.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get the link into the description of this.
Secondly, I am going to be holding a jiu-jitsu seminar at Gracie Tampa South on January 13th.
Okay.
As a charity seminar to raise money from the firefighters are going to be there. It's going to be linked through the firefighter local union to help Will raise some money for the kids. I'm going to be teaching my entire deep half guard system. For those of you that know me, know I'm known for my deep half guard. It will be an amazing event. Hopefully, if you're in the area and you'd like to come out, please make sure you come. $50 minimum donation. Minimum donation, by the way. It's not for me. It goes straight to the family. 100% of the proceeds go to the family. So if you want to dig a little deeper, we would be much appreciated. It's going to go to an amazing cause. I just can't think about what these kids are going to go through, not just now, but for the rest of their lives growing up with orphans. It's just unconscionable and completely devastating to me when I heard about it. So if you're interested in the area, January 13th, the poster will be up. I'll start advertising for it soon.
Well, on that note.
Thank you guys all.
Man.
You know, let's hit the sponsors real quick. All right.
Which one?
All of them. Why the fuck not? First of all, we'll just start off with the big one.
When are we going to have Stacy in from Laheel?
Stacy's coming. We're going to get to that. So just to kind of give you a little update on our year to come here. I'm planning on we're going to cut back to 2 shows a month from 4. I think we have
to talk about some stuff with that.
I think we're going to have more. I think it's going to give us more opportunity to market well, get more content together for you guys to talk about. I think it's just going to be easy for us to be able to fulfill that need as we move forward. It's going to be the first episode. The first episode of the month will be a interview episode. We'll have different people that are our sponsors, different athletes that are in town, different people around to come in and be a guest on the show for you. I've got some big ones lined up, by the way, so we're pretty excited about that.
And the other thing, I think the other piece of news is that we are moving into our own space.
We're working on that. I don't mind the coffee shop, to be honest with you, but we'll think about that.
I was minding it a little today. All
right, we'll think about. We'll see.
There was a lot of distraction.
We'll see what comes. When you hear it, actually doesn't. You don't hear that stuff. It's actually pretty good. It's
I heard
actually
the baby
not bad.
crying on the
last
baby,
one. But a little bit. But it's fun. We're in an area. But we'll see how that goes. We maybe move it into a studio space. But we're gonna do one show.
Did you pay for those chips, ma'am?
We're gonna do one show as a interview show. The next show will be a month in review. We'll kind of break down a month. I think it'll give us plenty of time to market for it and get our ducks in a row.
We'll figure it out. You all be the first to know. You'll be after us too.
So real quick with the sponsors, we have Laheel Biogenics. If you're in the market for stem cells, peptides, anything that keeps your body going, they are there for you. Hit them up at Laheel. They are the best in the industry. They've been with us for a while, and we are absolutely ecstatic about having them. I have a big sponsor announcement coming up. I just can't say it yet. We'll see how that one goes in the near future.
Is this Toyota?
Toyota.
Nice.
Mercedes-Benz of Tampa. Also, we are working with No Judges Needed. Troy Regano from No Judges Needed. My man, Mr. Troy Regano from No Judges Needed. I have loved him forever. He has been my man for a very long time and helped me greatly throughout the course of my jiu-jitsu career to get to the point where we are. So thank you, Troy Regano from No Judges Needed. Visit the site. I'm sure you can use Old Man Grappling Hour to get a 20% discount, or just mention our name to any of these sponsors and they'll take care of you. Classic Coaching, my nutritionist. We're going to have him on too. He's coming on pretty soon.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Keeps me fucking. That's the best my body's felt for a while. Classic Coaching. Hit them up. Very good nutritionist sponsor, a very good nutritionist service. They will talk to you online, get your diet right in line. Really, really good guys. Rewire Physical Therapy. Charlie Keenan. Guy's awesome. I just saw him today. I fucked my knee up today, actually. Put some needles in my knee. I thought I tore my freaking LCL, but turns out it's not that bad. We're going to have him on. He's going to be our first guest next month. We're going to have him on. Our next show is going to be with Charlie.
Cool.
For our guest show. Active Health.
How many sponsors do we have?
Whatever. I'm trying, baby. I'm trying. This shit ain't cheap. I'm trying to piece together $100 at a time everywhere I can. If you're interested in sponsoring, hit us up.
We should start sprinkling these out throughout the show.
I think we should too. Topics. We're going to work on something. Yeah. We're going to work on that.
You know, we should talk about that in front of everybody.
Yeah, we're going to work on it. Active Health IV treatment. They're based out of Newport Richey, but they will come to your house in Tampa. IV service. Come right to your house with an IV. Get you full of vitamins, minerals, get you ready to go, and then obviously Robbie North from Chill Coffee if you're in the area.
Yes.
You want to get a nice cup of coffee.
Chill
they
Coffee.
Are your people.
Gracie Brandon,
Gracie Trinity.
Robbie,
Gracie.
How did he say it?
Bradenton. Donofrio.
Donofrio. That's what he said.
Donofrio, right?
Yeah.
Which I thought was like he said I added an extra.
Yeah, I guess I've been saying it wrong all this time. I've been calling him Donofrio.
Donofrio. I thought it was Donofrio too.
Yeah.
But apparently that's not right.
Donofrio?
Sonny, got anything else?
Got to clarify that.
Anything else you'd like to bore the people with after I went through fucking 30 minutes of sponsors?
can't think of anything.
Uncomfortable silence.
I can't think of anything.
Rod.
I was listening to our last show.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's funny. It was a good one. You finally listened. It looks good.
I was on the way up here. I listened.
All right. Jeff, Rod, folks at home, have a good year. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. Cue the music. We will see you in 2 weeks with our first guest, Dr. Charlie Keenan, physical therapist. Thank you, guys.